Ivan the Inquirer here, and today I will be interviewing the mayor of Gary. So my first question is, what inspired you to become the mayor?
Well, Ivan, thank you. Can I take a minute to just say thank you for interviewing me today? We've been here about 10 minutes prepping for this interview, and I was impressed the minute I stepped into the lobby and I saw you. So thank you for just taking time out of your day to come and interview me, just the mayor of Gary. So your question was, what inspired me to be the mayor of Gary? I'm going to try to give you the shortest answer I can. There's a number of things that inspired me, but I would happen to say the biggest inspiration was people like you. I have 4 sons myself, and as a result of that, got an opportunity to interact with some of their friends and a lot of their peers over the number of years. And now I have 11 grandchildren, and the point is that I always enjoy opportunities to interact with the future generations of the city, but also it gives me a great amount of pleasure to assume the responsibility that I think we all have, and that's to be excellent examples for the people that are coming up like yourself. You didn't expect such a long answer, I bet, but you got it, and this is what you asked for, and this is what you're going to get. Straight answers.
What are some things you do as the mayor?
Well, as the mayor, I take a lot of calls, and these days with technology, people can reach me through social media. One of the things that I've done since I've been an elected official, not just the mayor, but I was a city council person, a county council person, and as I was explaining to you a second ago, before I became the mayor, I was actually a Lake County assessor. And one of the things that I do, and to be able to stay in touch with people and to be more accessible, is I share my number with them. And so that's a significant portion of my time is spent communicating with the people that I serve. But outside of that, I attend meetings and I look for new and creative ways to make this city better for you, for your parents, for your brother, and for everyone who lives here, and people who want to visit also.
What are some things you do for the city?
Well, that's a great question. Some of the things that we do for the city is we work with our police department and other agencies in order to make our city as safe as we possibly can. But also we engage in activities such as street paving or alley repairs. We make sure that the street lights are working and the traffic signals are working. And I mentioned those specifically because those are always challenging. Ivan, as you know, just like it takes money to run your household, it takes money to run a city also. And our money is generated by people who pay property taxes. And unfortunately, in our city, the number of people who pay taxes has decreased over the years. And as a result, we have less money than we used to have. But much like your parents, right? Because sometimes their income fluctuates, and I don't know if you're bringing in any grass cutting money these days, but if you're not working, then they have to make adjustments to their budget, right? And that's what we do here in the city. Even though we have less resources, we find ways to still try to provide the services to people that they require and expect.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any military backgrounds?
Well, how did you know? You must have read up on me. Yes, sir. I am a United States Marine. I say am because we have an expression in the Marine Corps that once a Marine, always a Marine. But it's a service that certainly, much like serving as the mayor, that I'm extremely proud of. From a lineage perspective, my dad was a Marine also, which is what inspired me actually to choose that branch of service. And so, yes, I did one term in the United States Marine Corps. My original MOS, which is a military occupational specialty, was infantry, right? But sometime shortly after my basic training and then my ITS, or further infantry training, I had the opportunity to get a second MOS, second military occupational specialty of Special Security Forces. And so I was stationed in Concord, California on a naval base, but my job was to guard the base from people who would commit bad acts and to make sure that all of the resources, equipment, and personnel on the base remained safe.
Right. What are some advantages of being the mayor?
Some of the advantages of being the mayor, I'm still trying to figure that one out. No, for me, and that was a joke, Ivan. You can laugh sometime too. I'm just kidding. So I guess the greatest advantage of being the mayor is to have the opportunity and be in the position to effectuate the type of change that I believe the people that we serve want to see. To me, I think that is by far the greatest advantage of being here.
All right. What are some things in Gary that you would like to be different or change?
That's great. Well, I would like us to have more businesses here. I would certainly like there to be better schools for people like yourself and some of your friends who want to get the best possible education they can to be able to do so. And so I think we have decent schools here, but I'm always looking for opportunities to provide greater and better opportunities for everyone. So certainly would like our schools to be better. I would love for our streets to be better. And that way when you go home in the evening, your parents don't have to have a discussion about all the potholes that they hit, right? So in the meantime, we're certainly working on that. In fact, last year we performed about $4 million in paving, which was pretty significant. But when you compare that to the amount of streets that we have throughout the whole city, which is 400 miles of street. 400, if you were to line them all up straight in a linear position, it would be the equivalent of 400 miles of street. That's a long way. That's like going to Indianapolis and back, and then halfway to Indianapolis again would be the equivalent of 400 miles. And so certainly want to make those areas better that we just talked about. But also, I would like to create opportunities for people to enjoy themselves when they're off of work and when they're out of school. Better parks and things like that, so that you can have a place right here in your city where not only you feel safe and feel comfortable, but you can enjoy yourself and spend time with your friends and your family.
When you were younger, did you ever think you'd become the mayor?
You know what? That's a great question. And as usual, I got a story to go with that. So the short answer is no, I didn't. Not that I didn't think I could be a mayor or something else. I just didn't have any desire. But you know who told me I did?
Who?
My mother. When I was your age, I remember specifically her telling me, make sure you brush your teeth, do your homework, go to bed at night, but be a nice person, right? And have a great heart and exercise compassion, which means want the same thing for other people that you want for yourself. And the reason she gave me for that is she says, you could be the mayor of this city one day. And I used to think, well, first of all, I don't want to be the mayor, right? But I didn't think any way or shape or fashion that that would be the path that I would take one day when I got grown. But as I got involved and engaged in government, our opinions and perspective change, right? And so here I am today, your 21st mayor of the city of Gary. And before you leave, if you turn around there, I'll turn you around as this chair's a little big there. You see all those guys on the wall there?
Yeah.
Those are all former mayors of the city of Gary, and I am fortunate enough to have the opportunity to know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6 that came before me, have had conversations and a relationship with each of them.
I have one last question. How was it like growing up in Gary? Was it different or was it pretty much the same?
I would say it was a lot different, Ivan. We didn't have cell phones and computers and all these different games and that, so we had to create opportunities for recreation. One of the things that's definitely different is I grew up at a time when a lot of the kids played in the alleyways, right? We had basketball courts in there. And we used to play stickball and that, and we chose the alleys, or our parents directed us to the alleys because they were a lot safer than being on the street. We played a lot of baseball, certainly played youth sports, football, and things like that. I didn't get an opportunity to go outside a whole lot during the school year because like yourself, I went to a private school, and one of the results of going to a private school, and you tell me if it's still the same today, is that you get a lot of homework. And so I used to get an abundance of homework, but listen, it was all for good because it made me that much more sharper and a little bit more brighter and knowledgeable about areas that I may or may not have been. But yeah, Gary was a great town then. Certainly had a lot more activities, and so when I think about being the mayor and I compare it to my childhood, I certainly would like to create other opportunities like that for people like you. As we just talked about a second ago, one of the greatest opportunities that we have are natural amenities such as the trails, or we have been designated as a city as a national park, right? And so, in fact, our park, the Dunes Park that starts on the east end of our community, actually receives more visitors than Yellowstone Park in a particular year. And so it's just a wonderful, inexpensive, sometimes free activity that we can do and then just enjoy all the richness and history of the city. And I'd love to do it with you.
All right. To the question you asked me, at school, we don't get that much homework, at least not to me, maybe to my other classmates. But I am pretty smart myself, especially in math.
Listen, I'm glad to hear that for a number of reasons. Sounds like you get most of your work done during the school hour, which is great. Glad to hear that you love and embrace math. That was my favorite subject. And the reason I'm really, really fond of it now, and I appreciate people who enjoy it and embrace it, is because in my opinion, math is sort of a tool, if you will, for us to exercise our brain. And so I love calculating, figuring out problems. I really enjoy doing calculations, sometimes without pencil and paper, just to see how fast and sharp my mind's working. And as it stands, it looks like I'm still doing pretty well. So got a math question for you, if I can ask you. Put you on the spot here. What's 2 plus 2?
4.
Yeah, I could have made it a little harder.
Mayor
right?
Prince, give him a complicated math, like 15 multiplied by 85. He can do it in his mind.
Oh, I love it. You my kind of guy. So we'll keep it sort of, we'll make it challenging, but I won't go crazy on you. So tell me this. Here's a good one, 11 times 12?
11 times 12, let's see. 132?
I love it. So when I was in school, that was one that it seemed like confused a lot of people. So we know 12 times 12 is 144, but for whatever reason, they didn't process it to subtract 12 from that, right, and get 132. But in any event, sounds like you're pretty sharp. So your dad wanted me to challenge you and do like 15 times 85.
All right. So that is the end of my interview.
Boy, I was having so much fun here, and it looks like you were a little bit also. But listen, can you do me one favor?
Yes.
Would you come back and interview me again?
Yes.
When you have time, put it on your schedule, and I'll do the same. I'll make sure that we get an opportunity to sit together. I might want to sit in my own chair next time, but if you desire, no, I'm just kidding. You look great there. I wanted you to sit there. I'm glad you did and took me up on the offer, because guess what?
What?
Much like my mother told me that I could be the mayor of this city, for some reason, I'm getting the sense that you could possibly be the mayor of this city and maybe even have a new chair by then. This chair has been here about 20 years, Ivan, but
This is older than me.
yeah, how about that? So thank you. Tell me, can I ask a couple questions before we end the interview?
Yep.
So I know that you're 8 years old.
Yep.
I know that your name is Ivan Ursery the Third.
Yes.
Right? I remember that because your dad's the second. But I don't know what school you attend.
Well, I attend a private school named Ambassador Christian Academy.
Well, I'm familiar with that. In fact, I knew your pastor very well. I was at his funeral. And I don't know if you were there or not, but I got up and made some really great comments about the time that I got to spend with him also. So, and that's a great school, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, and they obviously are doing great work. Looking and speaking with you today, I can see the product here for myself. And that's a pretty nice tie you have on there, Ivan. Do you always dress this sharp?
No.
No? Me either, Ivan. I can't wait to go home and put some sweats on and just kind of kick back and relax. Couple more questions for me. So, do you ride a bike at all?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the trails that we have here? Does your dad or mom ever take you on the trails to ride your bike?
Sometimes in the summertime, my dad took me on the trail.
Nice. Well, listen, after the weather warms up a little bit, that's something I would like to do with you also. That's my favorite pastime. In fact, that's pretty much all I do for enjoyment and relaxation, is I love to get on my bike. I ride throughout the entire city, but I really enjoy getting on the trails because I don't know if you knew this, but that trail, right, it stretches all the way from Chesterton, Indiana, right, all the way into Illinois. So we could just ride all day long and I wouldn't have any problem with it. Might make us a little tired, but there's a couple restaurants on the route where we can stop and have some lunch also.
All right.
Does that sound fair?
Sounds fair enough.
Good. Thank you. Did you enjoy this interview with me? Did I do okay for you?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Sometimes I'm off my game, but it looks like I was pretty much on point today, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.